All right, guys, we are here today. We got some news early this morning regarding Nvidia here. It's not good news. Essentially, we got some breaking news earlier that China is banning tech companies from buying Nvidia's AI chips. Their internet regulator has banned the country's biggest technology companies from buying Nvidia's AI chips. This news came out much earlier this morning. You can see the market react negatively to it here. But yeah. Nvidia has already suspended production of its H2O chip meant for China. They told some suppliers, including Amkor Tech and Samsung, to halt production on H2O AI chips this week. This follows Tuesday's report from Reuters that said Nvidia is working on a new AI chip for China that's more powerful than H2O. It was going to be called, it's tentatively called B30A, but Lutnick said earlier, of course, he would like to sell a new chip to China. I've listened to him pitch the president, and the president listens to our great technology companies, and he'll decide how he wants to play. Now, remember, this is after the United States banned our really high-power chips to China as well, right? So the U.S. banned sales of the really powerful microchips to China, and then now they're basically reciprocating them back to us in a way. It's not good for Nvidia, though, and Nvidia, if you take a look at it, this news dragged the whole market down, but Nvidia dropped from about 175 to 172.50s. Today's the FOMC decision as well. We got housing starts, building permits, and more. But yeah, I am in Central Time, but I'm talking about Eastern when I say it in the title. So, talking about Eastern Time. All right. Well, if we get cuts and continue dipping, then something. Not necessarily. A lot of the time we get negative reactions from cuts when they initially happen. It's kind of a buy the rumor, sell the news event where we push up in anticipation of cuts, and then once we actually get the cut announcement, we retrace. We also have the dot plot today, which is the summary of economic projections. But again, the main event today is going to be the Fed decision, and a rate cut is widely anticipated. Markets are going to focus on future projections and Jerome Powell's press conference for clues on the direction of monetary policy. If we do not cut today, that's a situation where the market might crash. Not crash, but deeply negatively react. Recent data shows kind of a mixed picture of state of economic and inflation, to be honest. It's kind of mixed here. We got a little bit of both, honestly. August retail sales and manufacturing came in stronger yesterday, though. Consumer industrial resilience potentially there. The housing market shows signs of weakness. The latest home builder sentiment remained at 2.75-year low, almost 3-year low. Housing starts and building permits are due at 8:30. So we'll see what that looks like. It is about 7:20 right now. We got about an hour and 10 minutes until that. In the UK, inflation for August came in slightly cooler than anticipated, which could influence the Bank of England's further policy decisions. Bank of Canada also announces their rate decision today, and I think we had European CPI that showed up lower than expected everywhere. Year over year, 2% versus 2.1% for Europe. Core CPI, 2.3 versus 2.3. Month over month, 0.1 versus 0.2. So European CPI showed up lower than expected. We also had 30-year mortgage rates showed up lower than expected today. It showed up at 6.39% versus 6.49% last time. So it dropped a little bit week to week. Oracle and ByteDance, more time to finalize an agreement that would see U.S. investor group take control. Yeah, so Oracle investors are eager for a TikTok deal. A fresh delay calls that into question, but a lot of people are saying it looks like Oracle is going to be the one that tries to get TT. That's what I said yesterday and the day before. We'll see if that holds. Gold retracing this morning. Gold all the way back to 3700s here. Again, futures are kind of flat, which is not a shock here, I think, aside from like the dips we've seen in you know, we're red on the day for the NASDAQ and the SPY here. but or the ES, whatever you want to use to gauge the S&P. We're red on the day on both of these, but not super red, and this is mostly due to the Nvidia dip after China bans sales. Again, China banned its major tech companies from purchasing certain Nvidia AI chips, which again, guys, like, this is exactly what we did to them. You know, actually, it's kind of the reverse of what we did to them. You know, what we did to them was we said, hey, we're not going to sell you our nicest, our most powerful chips, essentially. And what they're doing is basically saying, hey, we're not going to buy your best chips. And so it's kind of like the reverse. But Microsoft is trading higher, I think, this morning. Let me see. Microsoft down a little bit yesterday. Yeah, Microsoft got a $30 billion investment by the UK. Some other stuff going on. But we can take a look at yields ahead of this report. And then the rate odds. Yields are almost all the way down to 4% right now for 10-year treasuries. Yields are almost all the way down to 4%. You can kind of see they've moved down over the last few days pretty regularly, sinking all the way down to 4.013% as of now. So they're down a little bit, showing a lower interest rate sentiment. I think I've seen rumblings of maybe a 50 basis point cut. I saw Navarro speaking earlier, and Navarro basically started talking about it. He said, let me scroll up. He said the Fed rate is at least 100 basis points too high. The Fed should cut 50 basis points today, another 50 next meeting, according to Navarro. And so, but if we take a look at the actual odds here for a 50 basis point cut, they're still low, but they're higher than they were yesterday off of this, right? So here is %, for a 25, 6% likely for a 50. I think we'll probably do 25, but you never know. Maybe we throw a 50 out there. It's possible. Yeah, so we have the dot plot update today, which is big. It's the summary of economic projections. They call it the dot plot. In June of 2025, so this happens every other meeting, right? So in June of 2025, the dot plot for 2025, the median projection signaled a total of 225 basis point rate cuts by the end of this year is their outlook. With a cut widely expected today, this implied only one additional cut for the remainder of the year. It would bring the Fed funds rate to a target range of 3.75 to 4%. There was big disagreement among policymakers, though. 7 out of the 19 officials projected no rate cuts this year, highlighting a more hawkish wing within the Fed. And the plot indicated a slower pace of cuts following the year for 2026 and beyond. Longer run neutral interest rate projection remained unchanged around 3%. But again, that dot plot outlook might change today. It's shifted a lot since then. We've had really weak labor data. So, you know, influenced by that really weak labor data, a hawkish scenario for today would be it remains at 2 cuts for the end of the year. This would be interpreted as hawkish by the market. It would signal that today's cuts might be the last for a while, or at least for another, 3 months. Contrary to current market pricing, which anticipates more easing than this, but that would be a hawkish scenario. A dovish scenario is many economists and analysts citing weaker jobs data expect the median projecting to shift downward, indicating total of 325 basis point cuts for 2025. It would signal more willingness, certainly by the Fed. But yeah, that's something that you want to probably pay attention to today. That's one of the bigger things today. I mean, what's going to matter is this plus Jerome Powell. What he says, what his outlook is, all that stuff. But I think we're going to do 25 today, but it's going to depend on what Jerome Powell says. You know, the spread of the dots will be critical. A tighter cluster would indicate growing consensus, while continued wide dispersion would signal ongoing uncertainty and debate within the committee. So this is important today. It's something you want to pay attention to. And we'll be streaming it live like we always do. They will cut 25 in NQT. That's possible. Yeah, quantitative tightening is a hawkish monetary policy in which they unload their balance sheet. They don't directly sell, but they let their holdings mature and run off, right? And so ending QT would essentially be a very dovish action. And I think if they, according to AI, which I'm using, it says there's virtually no chance they end QT today. The Fed Reserve has been very clear and deliberate about its plan for QT. The process is designed to be mechanical and run in the background. An abrupt, unexpected end to the program would contradict this predictable approach, according to AI. There's no advance warning. An announcement of this magnitude would almost certainly be preceded by weeks or even months of signaling. We would have heard governors and presidents hinting at the shift, potentially, though it's unlikely they're going to end it today. People are saying most analysts project the end of quantitative tightening to start in to happen sometime mid-2026, mid next year. Mid next year is just a blink away. Yeah, GTA 6 mid next year, huh? All right, guys. Hey, we got a minute and a half left. What's up, Sam? Behave, Sam. That's all I'm saying, dude. Behave, man. Like, I don't want to feel like people are creating fake accounts, and like, I'm not saying that's you, but I don't want to feel like anybody's doing that. If I feel like somebody's creating fake accounts and like using that to troll or be weird, just don't do it. Don't do that. You know. I've had too many like weird haters that like it's plausible that they might create fake accounts and be nice, and then like, I don't know, man. People are, what you learn is people are strange, right? They don't have a lot going on. They're kind of sitting at home. Some of them are sad and like unhappy, and so they just act weird, man. They just act weird. Not saying that's you, Sam. I'm just saying I'm overcautious for that stuff, you know. Isn't Fed Powell's inflation target 2%? I swear he said he was not gonna do a cut until we were at a steady 2%. I mean, his target might be 2%, but that's a target. I've said this once, I'll say it again. My target's to make $1 billion. If I make 800 million, you know, I might walk away. Yeah. Google searches for help with mortgage surpassed 2008 global financial crisis peak, signaling growing financial strain on households. Yeah, there's theses out there that state that when we start cutting rates, it's actually going to be worse for the house market, because basically right now, essentially people are sitting on low interest rate mortgages and they can't sell their house because then they'd get locked into a 6% or a 7% mortgage, having to get another mortgage on another property. So they're basically sitting on their properties now, and that when interest rates start to come down, they're going to start unloading said properties, and we'll get kind of like a sell-off and too much inventory in the market and sell-off. I hope that's not the case, but I think it could happen. You think Powell will be dovish? I don't know. I think he's going to say inflation is still a risk. So I think he's going to be somewhere in the middle today, personally. All right, Nasdaq still breaking down though. Tesla falling down a little bit. We're at 417.50s. United Health at 337.10s. Yeah, Powell's always going to be somewhere in the middle, most likely. I mean, he's not going to go weighted to one side a lot. Sometimes he will. So they think the Bank of Japan is going to hold rates steady at the meeting this week. Again, Navarro said the Fed rate is at least 100 basis points too high, and they should cut 50 today, another 50 next meeting. Yeah, it's all good, Sam. To be fair, you were trolling the chat too much. So many data centers, no demand. I don't know, bro. I think, yeah, I think if we do 50, I don't know what the market reaction is going to be. A 50 basis point cut might induce panic, right? And so it could induce panic. I'm not saying it's going to, but it could. And that's the risk. The FOMC time, it might be in the bottom yellow letters. It might also be in the actual title of the stream. I'm not saying it is. It could be. You might want to look there. Right. 50 can induce panic. I think they're going to do 25 today. Usually Powell's balanced. We'll see what he says. All right, guys, we got 2.5, we got less than an hour. We got building permit and housing start data today. And I think there's a really interesting look ahead of this Fed meeting because we're going to see some of the real estate info at 8:30. Oh, that's cool, bed. Ain't no worries, man. No matter how hard I try to get away from the holiday music, bro, it just keeps showing up, dude. I'd like to... Okay. Sorry, I was looking at different types of music here. Yeah, gold. If gold dips down, I might buy it again and just wait. Nasdaq's fallen down a little bit. The VIX, if we look at it, is elevated again, almost up to 17s today. It's at 1660s. Oh, what's up? Yeah, all good, man. Yeah, it's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, Bitcoin elevated today. Nasdaq testing lows right now. Bitcoin at 116.5s. Yeah, Netflix upgraded at Loop Capital. FDX, which is FedEx, was downgraded at Evercore. And Nevada Lithium announces a significant amount of critical mineral within its Bonnie Clear lithium project. General Mills posted earnings today, 86 cents versus 82 cent EPS. Revenue of 4.52 billion versus 4.49 billion. Again, mortgage rates for 30-year MBA mortgage showed up lower at 4.3 or 6.39 versus 6.49. Yeah, Tesla down at 416s here. It's kind of what's dragging the Nasdaq down, I would say, right now. I don't see any breaking news. Let me make sure. Thirty of 32 analysts on some sites think 25 basis point cut today. Probably possible dovish descents from Moran, Waller, Bowman. Very low risk of a hold descent. Powell's tone is going to be relevant. Sees December cut, then more in 2026. Citigroup sees risks skewed dovish. Moran and Bowman pushing for 50. Deutsche is cuts as risk management, sees 25 basis point cut in September, October, and December. I agree with Deutsche. I think we're going to get 25 every month. We do a Fed decision. So this month, October and December is when I think, and I think we're going to get 25 basis point cuts in each of those decisions is my guess here. Goldman says labor softening is key. Quantitative tightening could end in October, according to Goldman. 25 basis point cuts in October, December, 50 possible if jobs worsen. So 2 cuts for Goldman. JP Morgan, 2 to 3 dovish descents for 50 basis points. They see 25 cuts October and December, and then a pause. So JP Morgan thinks we're going to cut now, or okay, so JP Morgan thinks we're going to do what I thought, which is cut 25 every meeting. NASDAQ testing the lows. It's not the lows of the day, but it's the lows of the last few hours since that big Nvidia chip news from China. Wells Fargo sees labor week, 25 basis point cuts October, December, March, and June. All right, we'll see what that means. We're getting a little bounce here. I kind of want to short this, but I think we could also chop today. But I'll try to short a little bit here. We'll see what happens. Up to 5. I don't know if I'm going to catch it, though. I think I missed it just slightly. I use a bunch of different sources. The China market's better than the US market at least next 5 years. Not in terms of microchips, they're not. They're lagging behind us in microchips for sure. They started much later than we did. Their AI software is different. Maybe their software you could argue with DeepSeek. And maybe over the next 5 years they pull ahead. I don't know, but as of now they're lagging. And Nvidia is, you know, in terms of microchip production. It depends on which way we're looking at. If they do 50 basis points, crypto is going to go crazy. I don't think they're going to, but if they do, I agree. I think Bitcoin's going to rip if they do 50. Please help me understand, why is China attacking Nvidia? They're not. Remember, we did this to them first, in a way, right? A different way, kind of the backwards way, but we basically restricted Nvidia from selling all the most powerful chips to China that we have, right? Like we had those restrictions come out earlier in the year, and so this is kind of China's response to that. China says, okay, you don't want to sell us your most powerful chips. We're going to ban our tech companies from buying your chips, you know, and that's kind of the response from them. That's essentially what's going on here. Like, if you take it out of context, or if you don't look at it with the right context, I should say, you know, you might think that they're just being mean to us. Really, it's kind of been back and forth here. It's kind of been back and forth. And again, I said this the other day. A lot of this is strategic. Like, they're doing this intentionally. You know, we did it intentionally to them too, strategically, and they're doing it back to us strategically as well. I don't know much, I mean, about whether you should buy Solana or not, Doctor. That's not really, you know. I think crypto will dump if they cut, and even if they don't, maybe. Could be a buy the rumor, sell the news event in that regard. It depends on, I think a lot of it depends on projections. I said the left wants cuts. I don't think so. I think it's actually the opposite right now. If it is political, which I don't know if it is or not, right? But if anything, like the president accused Powell of not cutting because he was politically siding with the other side, essentially, right? And so I think it's actually the opposite. If there is a political dynamic, which again, I'm not the most well-versed in politics. I'm really not. I focus on finance news, and if it has to do with politics because of finance, then I focus on it and I cover it and I report it. But outside of that, I'm not sure. But from my understanding, it is the opposite, where, you know, people more on the left are pushing for a more hawkish, restrictive monetary policy to combat inflation, and people on the right are more pushing for like economic stimulus to benefit the economy, because that's what the president is pushing for. And so, you know, I don't know if any of it's that political. I don't think it has much to do with politics in general. Lower rates are generally stimulative. I mean, of course they're stimulative, but lower rates are going to stimulate the economy and help businesses thrive a little bit easier. And so in that context, it depends on which way you look at it. But I don't think any of it's that political, to be honest. This is going to be the first rate cut since, was it 2022? Treasury Secretary Bassett once agreed to is that really news? Yeah, I mean, again, you got to understand, it's not really that political. I mean, it's political, but it's not really partisan. Every president wants low rates during their presidency. Why? Because it's stimulative. It stimulates the economy, and then they can see, look what I have done. The economy's strong under my watch, guys. Re-elect me. You know, I can't really get mad at them for it. That's how it normally goes. They want lower interest rates. It's economic stimulus. They want to stimulate the economy. They want strong GDP so they can be like, look what I have done, you know. And so you can't really get mad at them for it. Oh yeah, let's do a poll. My bad, guys. I got you. Yeah, I was more thinking of the Castaway guy after he started the fire. Yeah, I was more thinking of this GIF right here. Yeah. But yeah, let's do a poll. How many rate cuts will we get in 2025? 1, 2, 3, None. None's pretty freaking unlikely, but I'll leave it as an answer anyway. Yeah, we're not going to cut rates today. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. Bank of America raises U.S. minimum hourly wage to $25. Oh, yeah, $25. I think previously it was anywhere between 23 and 24. It's not literally impossible. What you gotta understand about the watch tool is that it's just the market pricing in something. Okay, so OpenAI unveils first of its kind study detailing how users leverage ChatGPT for daily tasks. Users' uses of anonymized data, 1.5 million conversations from 130,000 consumers users over the period from May to July of this year. May of last year to July of this year. OpenAI's first of its kind study reveals how people actually use it. Women now make up 52% of users versus 37% last year. Fastest growth in low and middle income countries. 70% of use is personal writing, advice, planning. 30% is work related. No cut by today. Next meeting, market would need a rate hike. I don't think so. I'm going to short this right here, I think. Small position. See if we just chop back downward. Yeah, I'll be live at 2 p.m. I'll probably start another stream, but I'll be live then. Hey. All right. I said it's obvious there won't be a rate hike today. I think we're going to do a 25 basis point cut. I don't think it's very probable that we're going to do a 50. But I think it's very obvious we're not going to do a rate hike today. That would cause drama. 100% would cause drama. Yeah, it would 100% cause drama. Market would react very, very negatively, of course. Of course, shorts might predict some type of rate hike, but it's just not going to happen. Bassett previously agreed. Oh. Yeah, so we're getting news that says Besant previously agreed to occupy 2 different houses as his principal residence at the time, according to mortgage documents cited by Bloomberg. The article adds there's no sign of any wrongdoings on his part, mortgage experts say. Yeah, so I'm shorting here, but I'm not going to hold this too long. Like, I'm going to let it test the 200 exponential. I wanted it to hold under 24.5. And I think if we downtrend, it's fine. But, you know, we get too high up here. I don't like a downtrend. We could just chop all day. And maybe I'll have to attack that. JP Morgan says the iPhone 17 lead times longer than iPhone 16. JP Morgan analysts report that iPhone 17 pre-orders as of September 12th show average lead times up 4 days versus iPhone 16 cycle. Wait times rose 7 days for iPhone 17, 3 for Air, 5 for 17 Pro, and 2 for 17 Pro Max. The strongest demand is for the base iPhone 17 models. JP Morgan maintains an overweight rating on Apple shares. Yeah, I don't think we should raise rates. I think that would be kind of chaotic right now in this environment. And I don't think, and because of that, I don't think Powell's going to do it, but you never know. We're very close to getting stopped out. My stop out level is about right here at 12s. So I'll let it try, but I think we're going to cut today. I think if we don't, it'll be chaos as well. I think if we pause today, it's obvious we're not going to pause. I think, I don't think we're going to raise. I don't think we're going to pause today. I think we're going to cut 25. You never know, though. Maybe we do something outside of that. I think Powell's going to be somewhere neutral, Matthew. I think he's going to be pretty flat, pretty neutral, pretty indecisive and unwilling to answer any type of big projections. I think he's going to say we're going to wait. We're going to cut 25 today and wait and see what happens, is my guess. The dot plot is going to be relevant. Again, the dot plot is important. For 2025, last time they projected a total of 2 25 basis point cuts by the end of this year. Cut widely expected today. This would imply only one more cut for the remainder of the year, bring the target range 3.75 to 4%. But remember, there was dissenting, there was dissenters' agreement among policymakers. 7 of the 19 officials projected no rate cuts last time. But the market shifted. If we get a hawkish scenario for the dot plot today, the median projection remains 2 total cuts for the year. It'd be interpreted as hawkish potentially in market signal that today's cuts might be the last for 3 months. If we do one today and then skip a meeting, that would be 3 months later we do another cut. And I think that would be a hawkish scenario. Markets might react negatively to it. Dovish scenario would be 3 25 basis point cut update today. So now they think we're going to do 3 cuts before the end of the year, which would be a cut every single meeting. And so again, we'll have to see where the dot plot goes. Don't you hate when your position acts as support? I hope we break down here and just keep going down to like 85. I'd cut it. Let's see if it happens. If we get a big enough dip in gold, I'd buy gold too. I'm not telling you to buy gold. Don't copy me. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. Don't copy me. But yeah, I understand all the stuff on screen. Can't guarantee anything. Not an investment professional. 50 is on the table, but leaning off the edge. Yeah, I mean, it's on the table, but it's not very probable. We got a 6% chance of a 50 as of now. I think it's 6% the last time I looked at it. Let me look. Yeah, we got 6% chance of a 50, which is not nothing, you know. I play poker, 6% hits sometimes, but it's not often, you know. So, we will see. Yeah, 50 basis point cut would be an insane short squeeze. I don't know. That's assuming 50 would react. People would react positively to 50. Personally, I'm kind of bearish from all this stuff. Like, I think it could be buy the rumor, sell the news type of thing, where markets react negatively regardless of what happens today. You know, markets have been pushing up. The only hiccup here is maybe the Nvidia news. All right, so we're nicely green here. I'm going to pivot this to break even now. Well, it was break even. Now we just got bought up. Probably got to reduce our risk, though. I just think we're going to have chop today, man. We got it's the FOMC decision. There's a lot of question marks. It's the dot plot update and all that stuff. I want to give it a chance to break back down, but we bounced right at 500, which is here. So like, that's the level we got to get under and hold. Psychological level. Yeah, I'm saying 6% hits sometimes. I'm not saying, you know. Nvidia CEO says they can only be in a market if that nation wants them to be. We got this news. Yeah, I would say 6% hits. I would say 6% of the time, 6% hits 6% of the time. I'm joking. I know that's actually wrong. 6% of 6% would be much lower, but yeah, 6% hits 6% of the time. I understand. My point is, the more you zoom in on the 6%, the more variance you're going to get in the outcome. So if something on average hits 6% of the time, you might get it twice in a row. Get really lucky or unlucky, you know. In poker is what I'm referencing. All right, so we're starting to flush. We got to get under 500 here. Gold, I think gold is interesting, but also kind of risky too. It's really elevated. If we dip enough, I might buy it, but I don't know what's going to happen to it. All right, if we keep getting bought up right at my level here, I'm just going to cut it right here. I don't want to hold this. It's that 500 liquidity grab. Yeah, I'm just going to cut this. This 500 level's too strong. Tesla rebounding back up too. I think that's driving this. Kramer went bullish on JP Morgan. Did he really? Angola is going to load 36 crude oil cargoes in November versus 31 planned for October, according to Reuters. What time are they cutting rates? 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They're also going to give us the updated dot plot, economic summary of projections. Summary of economic projections is actually, you know, what it's abbreviated to. But yeah, that'll drop at 2 p.m. We'll cover it live right here. Yeah, we always stream the rate cuts live. Oh, yeah, for sure. If Powell comes out hawkish after he cuts rates today, then bond yields will go higher and markets will tank along with gold. Probably. It's probably true. Yeah, so we have the dot plot expectations here. Yeah, Nvidia CEO Jensen saying we can only be in a service of a market if a country wants us to be. In the press conference, he says, I'm disappointed with what I see, but they have a larger agenda to work out between China and the United States. Continues to be supportive of the Chinese government and Chinese companies as they wish. Yeah, this music that I have on right now is kind of like electronic jazz beats, which I like. Kind of calm in the morning. I think a 50 basis point cut will be bullish for gold. Yeah, inflation hedge maybe. I don't think we're going to do 50, but it might be an inflation hedge. 25 today, get ready for the dump. 50 today, get ready for the pump. Maybe. I mean, listen, 50 is definitely more economic stimulus. But again, I would say there's a chance that 50 sparks fear and panic as well. It depends. Crypto might react positively, and I think we could go either way. I think it's hard to predict which way the market's going to go if we do 50. It's going to be more stimulative, but it also might induce panic. Yeah, market's very flat. I don't think I'm just going to wait. Hey, what's up, Neon? If 50, my bet would be panic. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Again, we also have building permits and housing starts. People have been worried about the housing market turning. So people have been worried about the housing market turning. And if that's the case, I think we're going to get a look at it at 8:30 in 25 minutes. So I'll put a timer up, but it's not going to be for the Fed decision. It's going to be for the housing data. It's going to be in 25 minutes. Yeah, look, this 24.5 level holding strong. Johnson & Johnson says their biodrug, I can't even pronounce this, shows superiority to their other biodrug in first reported head-to-head trials, reinforcing promise of novel targeted oral peptide for treatment of plaque psoriasis. Yeah, so we did a poll. We asked people. We got about 600 votes in 15 minutes. 37% think we're going to get 2 cuts this year, which is probably about, that's what we thought last time, is that we were going to get 2 cuts. 30% think we're going to get 3. 24% think we're only going to get 1. And 10% think none. The 10% that voted none, I mean, I think y'all are wrong. Why in the world? Who here thinks we're going to get 0 cuts this year? Let me hear. Let me see who this is, and explain yourself. No cuts at all? That would take a torch to the economy. I mean, it's possible, but who thinks 3 is possible? 3 is certainly possible. Getting 1 today, 1 in October, 1 in December, 25 basis point cut balanced. So 3 certainly possible. It depends on what happens with economic reports and data, though. But so the Bank of America CEO Moynihan says he is not going anywhere the short term, according to Bloomberg TV. The music was good until that song. Yeah, 2's most likely. It's the safest, but I think 3 is possible. If the economy is doing good, why would they cut interest rates? The reason for cutting rates would be if the economy is struggling. Do you genuinely think the economy is doing good right now? I mean, I think you could maybe argue, like, I don't think it's doing the worst it could ever be, but I think we've seen some signs that show the labor report, or the labor market is weakening quickly. And I think you have to be proactive with cuts, and I think they understand this. I think if we do 3, it's going to be 75 basis points. I think it's going to be 0.75%, Marco. Yeah, I think y'all are making it too political, guys. I really do. I think y'all are making it way too political. I don't think, like, look, the labor data has shown, from somebody that covers the labor data every single month. Listen, I cover this stuff every single month, right? Like, I watch it as it happens. Sometimes we're strong, sometimes we're weak, right? The last 2 months specifically of the labor data has shown a lot of weakness. A lot of weakness. We've had massive revisions for May and June's quarter 2 GDP. We've had, we'll be affected by it. I mean, quarter 2 GDP will be affected by it. We've had a huge benchmark revision. The labor data was much weaker than it has been for the last few years, since I've been covering it. And so that's not good. That's bad for labor, right? That shows a pivot towards potentially weak economy if it continues. And that's why we're probably getting a cut today, is because, you know, the payroll data got revised down. The benchmark revision revised jobs down over 900,000. For May and June, they were revised down 258,000. And then last month, they showed up at like what? Like, it was something not, it was like 22,000 or something. I can't remember what it was. And so either way, we're seeing weakening, slowing trends in the labor market for sure, right? And that's not political. This is just the data that we're getting, you know? Has nothing to do with politics. Yeah, I think if we do 3, it's going to be 25, 25, 25 versus 50, 25, 25. Last year we did 50, 20, 20. Last year we did 50, 25, 25. I think if we do it now, it's going to be 25, 25, 25. What do you think is causing the labor market to weaken? Well, I think we've had higher interest rates for a little while, you know, especially in the context of where interest rates were prior to this. They are much more restrictive than they've been for the last 20 years, you know, since 2008 maybe. And so, yeah, we've seen really, it's not super restrictive on average. Like, the 80s were a wild time, I'll put it this way. The early 80s were a wild time. The early 80s were crazy. in terms of inflation, interest rates, all this different stuff. And so if you look at that and that skews the averages, right? Like, let's take a look at it. Here's the early 80s right here. It was a wild time for interest rates. They were almost 20%. And so that skews the average. So people say, oh, we're still low relative to the average, which would be about here, or wherever it would be, right around here. Yeah, that might be true, but you're looking at the early 80s, which is the craziest time for interest rates in the last few centuries. You got to look at it in terms of where we're at versus the last, like, here's the last 25 years of interest rates. All right. This is the last 25 years of interest rates in the country. I'll draw a better square around it so people can really see it. That's the last 25 years. We are here in terms of interest rates. And so a lot of people would argue interest rates are high. You know, eventually the point of interest rates is to push down the economy to combat inflation, right? And so the point of it is, like, you maintain high interest rates up to a tipping point, but it's kind of like picking up pennies in front of a train track. If you do it for too long, you could see negative signs from it. And maybe that's what we're seeing now. I don't know. I think the last 6-7 years has been really different, I'll say, for inflation, for issues, for interest rates, for all that stuff. Yeah, like, he has to make a choice, right? Like, if we wait too long, we're gonna have both anyway, and people would argue we have both now. And so at a certain point, when labor gets too weak, even if it risks inflation spikes, you got to start cutting, at least in terms of, like, historical monetary policy. Yeah, we still haven't moved under this 24.5 level. All right, guys, we got 15 minutes until housing starts and building permits. We'll see what this looks like. We don't know way low with whether cutting is going to be negative or positive. Sometimes it's buy the rumor, sell the news. So generally the market wants cuts, but when we finally get them, sometimes the market negatively reacts to it. And so we don't know. Or market could interpret it as stimulative and optimistic for markets and buy stuff. I don't know. If we do 25, I don't know what we're going to get. If we do 50, it might scare people. Or we could get big optimism. Bitcoin might rip up on 50, but I don't think we're going to do 50. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's somewhere in the middle, man. I think inflation's a risk. We've had a lot of inflation over 5 years, and so inflation's a problem. Don't get me wrong. Inflation's a problem. Housing market's struggling right now. The housing market has been really rough, right? And so we're somewhere in the middle. 2020 did a lot of bad stuff to inflation, to the housing market, to all this different things going on. Really, 2020 and 2021 were really strong. And now we're seeing kind of the hangover from that. Yeah, I mean, whenever any type of outcome is widely expected, like 94, 96, I think it'll get closer to 20. I think it'll get higher the closer we get to the meeting today as well. But whenever any outcome is widely expected, If we deviate from that, we're going to get a more brash reaction in markets, either on the upside or downside, depending on what the market wants, right? And so it just depends on what we show. Yeah, Bitcoin is up. Powell knew there were a bubble created. Yeah, I mean, maybe in 2020. The problem is that if we didn't if we didn't push a low interest rate environment in that period of time, you know, maybe the argument is you shouldn't have done QE and you should have just cut the federal funds rate down a lot. But if we didn't do stimulus then, people would be like, people would be really complaining. Like, if you think about all the craziness of 2020, if we didn't stimulate the economy then, people would get really mad. So we're kind of paying for that now. So Amazon employees can get healthcare for $5 a week with $5 copays. Amazon is investing in excess of $1 billion to raise pay, lower health costs, and more for U.S. fulfillment and transportation employees. Yeah, we got the VIX here. VIX is higher this morning with a little bit more volatility expected. The market's kind of starting to slow down here, though. Yeah, so we have housing starts at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So when we're speaking of the housing market, yeah, we got housing starts at 8:30 Eastern. Building permits as well. So we'll get a look at housing and see what that looks like. Yeah, I mean, most of the time ahead of this meeting, markets are flat. I should have bought gold like I wanted down here. Oh well. Nasdaq's still pushing up. Yeah, the China Nvidia news is definitely not good. But it's a response like that we did to them. We did the same thing to them in a different way. We restricted our big chips from getting sold to them. And so this morning, China announced, and Jensen has already commented on this, but China banned its major tech companies from purchasing certain Nvidia AI chips this morning. That's what drove this big negative reaction here. If you see this big drop right here, that's what drove it. If you look at Nvidia on the day here, this what drove Nvidia down to. So that's what we got earlier. Market's pretty flat though. U.S. House Speaker Johnson speaking on Nvidia in China says the U.S. did not provoke it. Have to seriously face China. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, Friday we have quad witching day as well. Jensen basically this morning said we can only be in service of a market if a country wants us to be. In a press conference, he said we continue to be supportive of the Chinese government and Chinese companies as they wish. He says, I'm disappointed with what I see, but they have a larger agenda to work out between China and the United States. So he's basically damage controlling it right now. I don't think anything's a guarantee. I think I've said pretty often nothing is absolute in markets, right? Like there's always a chance, albeit a small chance, that things happen. There's a chance we get 50 today. It's only 6%, so that's pretty low. And I think as we get closer to the meeting, it's going to tighten up even more. But there's always a chance. There's always a chance. Anything could happen. Yeah, well, earlier in the year, the U.S. had their export restrictions for China as well. So whether we provoke them is, you know, I'm sure we did a little bit. Amazon released a chatbot-style creative assistant designed to help advertisers produce and distribute multimedia ad campaigns with AI. Friday's option expiry is more important than FOMC short term? No, it's not. No, it's not. Even most quad wishing days are flat, to be honest. Maybe if you're only an options trader, but I don't think so. All right, guys, we got 7 minutes until housing starts and building permits. Yeah, right now we're talking about China, US, Nvidia news. Nvidia came out this morning saying they're banning their largest companies from buying certain AI chips from Nvidia. Nvidia reacted negatively early this morning. Now we're kind of bouncing sideways since then, heading into the FOMC meeting. We got housing starts and building permit data dropping at 8:30, and so housing starts are expected at 1.37 million. Last time they were on 1.428 million. Housing starts is the change in the number of residential buildings that are getting built, that start getting built in the month. The Bank of America CEO says Fed will have to be mindful of inflation. Johnson said China move on Nvidia is counterproductive development. Hey, bud. Are you eating my Five Guys fries earlier this morning, bro? Love you, buddy. Don't eat all my fries, bro. You gotta eat something else besides that for breakfast, bro. Love you, buddy. Love you. Good day. My son's eating all my Five Guy fries for breakfast. Yeah, a few fries wouldn't be a problem. He had the whole, you know how Five Guys puts them in like this big cup? He had the whole cup. You know? He's sitting there eating out of it. He's like me, man. I love fries. Those fries are John's lifeline. Hey, listen. Don't mess with my French fries, bro. He usually eats eggs, though. Like we'll cook 'em eggs most of the time. Yeah, housing start date in about 3.5 minutes. See what it looks like. Yeah, we got housing starts at 8:30. Yeah, I mean, I'm most of the time fast. Some of the time I only eat one meal a day. So I'll fast until like 3 or 4, and then I'll eat a huge meal of whatever I want, and then I won't eat again until the next day. So I do a lot of fasting. All right, so 2 investors are reportedly ready to acquire the 29% stake held by the Pinol family via Manager magazine. Russia's also reportedly held talks with wheat traders to boost its sluggish exports, according to Bloomberg, citing sources. All right, guys. Hey, we got 2 minutes until housing start data. We'll see what it looks like. Again, it's expected at 1.37 million is the expectation for housing starts. Sounds like video game music, like Mario music. All right, here we go. Let's see what the housing start data shows. Again, with everybody talking about weakness in the economy and the labor market and pushing for rate cuts and expecting rate cuts and all these different ways, we're going to look at housing today with housing starts. I'm curious. All right, this music, I don't know if I'm feeling it as much. I like some of the earlier stuff, but... All right, guys, we got about 1 minute. Hit the live button, put it in 2x speed to catch up, just in case you're not caught up to the stream. All right, less than a minute. All right, we'll see what we get. Again, expected at 1.37 million. Building permits also scheduled to release at the same time, expected at 1.37 million. Tomorrow we got jobless claims, Philly Fed. All right, 40 seconds. Again, hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're caught up on the stream. And, yeah. This timer's too early. All right, guys, here we go. 5 seconds. And here we go. All right, there's the report. Let's see what the market does. All right, there's the drop. Sometimes housing starts and building permits are a little bit later than others. I'm looking here. I don't see them out yet, though. All right, so... yeah, I don't see them out yet. Sometimes they're delayed. Yeah, still waiting on the housing starts data. Again, sometimes this data is just delayed. Housing starts and building permit data are the least accurate. Okay, housing starts showed up at 1.307 million, 1.307 million. So actually a little bit weaker than expected. They were expecting about 1.365 to 1.7. I'll put this data up on screen. They showed up weaker than expected. We got the housing data on the bottom of the screen now. It showed up at 1.307 million. Building permit change was down 3.7%. Housing starts change was down 8.5% in August versus a previous positive 5.2%. So weaker housing data than expected. Yeah. The more weak signs in housing, the Nasdaq's reacting up though, going up a little bit on this report. I don't know if it's bull or bearish. It's a little bit more obscure for specifically real estate more than anything else. Well, it depends on which one. The housing start date is a little bit slower usually on the one I use for some reason, but all the other ones are faster. I don't actually use Forex Factory. Most of the time I get the data immediately. Is this bad news for cuts? I would say this signals more of a need for cuts. Like, you gotta understand, weaker data here is gonna signal more of a need to cut rates, right? Like, if housing is in shambles, low interest rates. Like, one of the arguments for rate cuts is housing. So let's take a look at the bond yields from this report. Yeah, I'm looking at gold, Nasdaq. I kind of want to short this, but all right, I'll try. Oh, dude, it pulls back so heavy right before I want to short it, but I'll try shorting it a little bit here. Also, guys, if you want to check out Top Step, we are using Top Step's funded account program to trade. There's no PDT in futures. You can day trade the S&P, Nasdaq, Dow. Very similar to day trading stocks. No PDT in futures. Great way to learn how to day trade when most day traders lose, right? Most day traders are going to lose money regardless of where they go, including here, to be honest. But it's a lot cheaper to lose here. They're really reliable with payouts. You can track them now on their new dashboard. They have their back to funding option. Again, they give you a 50K demo. It's $50 a month. That's your risk. You pass the test, you get a 50K funded account, 90% split. You fail, you lose $50. It's not the end of the world. It's a great way to learn. And most day traders lose. And so if you want to check it out, I'll put the link up. Beautiful way to learn how to trade. And but they're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. I get paid by them. So some would say I'm the top 3 most biased ever. But understand all the stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. Sorry, I'm trying to watch this trade. I'm down a little bit. The first trade was kind of flat. But I'm definitely down on the day. Oh, I'm the top 3 most biased ever. But I'm honest about it, though, so that should give me some brownie points from you guys, you know? I'm going to end this poll. We got over 1,400 votes. We're going to do another poll here. The poll is going to be, what type of tone will Jerome Powell have today? Hawkish, neutral, dovish. Hey, thank you, Lightning. What's up, dude? I wish I could be doing better trading today. I'm just not. I'm going to add one more piece to this because I don't think we're going to go up. The range is so small, though. Like, we got some bad Nvidia news. Nvidia's rebounded back up, and now we're kind of at this top. And so I want to see if we start heading back down now. Try to take a longer term trend, but it's not working out for me so far. Yeah, job market's key for sure. But the job market's been weak, man. I think he's going to be neutral, personally. I think he's going to be neutral. I don't think he's going to really... Yields are actually up a little bit, I think, this since the last time I looked at them. Yeah, so yields are a little bit higher here. They're still low. They're still at 4%, but... Gonna be dovish about his hawkishness? Maybe. Alright, we're getting closer to the opening bell here too. We'll see if the market starts to get something. I'm slightly down on the day, but... hawkish, he won't cut, guaranteed. Does anybody really think this? Does anybody really think Powell's not going to cut today? I assume it's trolls, right? And I think that's probably the most probable explanation for thinking we're not going to cut at all today. It's possible. It's just not very likely at all. And I don't know how you could bet on that. Is anybody betting that we're not going to cut at all today? Oh, no cuts, we're definitely dumping down. Do you think dovish 25 would be better than a hawkish 5? It depends on what the dot plot shows. Not trolls, just addicted to clickbait. Yeah, the clickbait channels are a problem. Right, they're also, like, there's a lot of channels that tell people we're gonna crash every week. And then we don't crash. And then we have like a 2% pullback in markets and they're like, oh, look, we crashed. That was right. And it's like, no, you weren't, bro. You were telling us the whole market was going to crumble, you know? And the problem is that they get more attention when they do that. And so they make these wild predictions, right? Like you had a lot of people telling people we were going to cut this last meeting. And I told people we weren't going to. I said, no, we're not. And people were arguing with me, arguing. And for whatever reason, people like to pick the lowest percentage odds that they can. I don't know if they're just, no offense, but gullible. I don't know if you just get talked into things, being weak-minded and kind of, you know, go with whatever somebody talks you into. But you got to understand this. And again, maybe I'll eat my words today. If we don't cut today, I'll eat my words. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I will make fun of myself relentlessly if we do. But just to put this into perspective, okay? I've covered every single Fed meeting. A lot of people are covering Fed meetings now, and that's great. I've been covering them for years. The CME watch tool has not been wrong once in years. You know, the likelihood that something that's not even on the table is going to happen is pretty freaking low. Pretty freaking low. Now, it could happen. It would shock the markets, and the market would probably crash from it. Maybe not crash, but drop significantly. But the likelihood of that happening is very, very, very low. Very, very, very low. I'm seeing gold spike up here. I'm trying to make sure there's no news coming out right now. Oh, I will. If there's no cut, I will make fun of myself relentlessly. I don't know if I don't like making videos, but maybe. If we don't cut today, you can call me dummy for a month and I have to respond. Cut is at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, probably. The range is so small today, though, it's hard to make money right now. Bitcoin just broke lows of the day. Would you put on clown makeup? No. Bitcoin's still flushing here. Look at Bitcoin drop. There's gold. There's Bitcoin. Honestly, dude, I'm gonna take half off here, or just a piece of this off. Wait, did I just click it? I thought I clicked it. There we go. Okay, now I'm taking it off. All right. I understand cutting rates being good for risk assets, but how would it be good for housing? Well, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be good automatically. There's a lot of different theses out there that I hear. There's two different major theses that contradict each other right now out there regarding rate cuts short term and long term. One of them is lowering, which is probably the most widely accepted one, which is that lowering interest rates will give people cheaper access to money. They'll be able to buy more homes. It'll push housing prices higher. Potentially. And it might at least give people cheaper access, or it might at least give people lower interest rate access to homes, right? The other thesis is kind of the other way. It kind of contradicts that one, which is that, and it makes sense. I hope it doesn't happen, but it makes sense, right? But the other one is that people haven't had low interest rates for a while, and so they're stuck in their homes. They can't really move because they have such a low interest rate right now, and interest rates are high outside of that, where if they move, they're going to have to get stuck with a higher rate, and that's nonsensical. And so they're sitting in their homes waiting for interest rates to go down so they can unload their houses and get into another house with a lower interest rate, right? And because of this, they think it's going to increase the inventory in markets in such a way where we're going to see a big correction in house prices. And a lot of people argue maybe we need that correction in house prices. I don't know. But that's the other thesis. I don't know which one I side with. The president's TikTok deal could face a hitch over billionaire's stake in China parent ByteDance, according to New York Post, citing sources. All right, so there we go. We're up nicely here. I'm going to take another piece off here. The short's working out. That's good. I'm going to cut it right here if I can get out. There we go. So we are now green on the day. That's nice. What does history show us? Generally, history's lower rates translate to lower monthly mortgage payments for the same monthly budget. They can qualify for a larger loan, and this allows more people to enter the housing market and enables buyers to buy more properties, driving up competition and sales in housing. Higher demand, since borrowing become cheaper, renters who are on the fence may decide to now buy, and that can lower rent prices in some ways because, you know, there's less renters, if that makes sense. But to be honest, you get a lot of different reactions historically to this. It's not like you only have one reaction. It's not like it's just only one reaction. You know, there's been a lot of different reactions to rate cuts. Depends on what point in time we're cutting rates, to be honest. And that depends on if it's proactive or if it's reactive rate cuts. What do you guys think we're in now? I think we're kind of in the middle somewhere right now. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think this is reactive or proactive rate cuts? I would say it's more reactive, but On how I do what, 7.5? Does John have any videos on how he does all this? Do what? Sit here and talk about finance? Be a pretty boring video. I just tell you guys I sit here and talk about finance for 3 hours with you guys. Answer questions in the chat. You know. Alright, so we're still breaking down. Maybe I should have held that, but it's okay. Oh yeah, we got a video on that. Let's go look in the videos that I do. I'd see that in theaters. Be top 3 movies ever, bro. Alright, so let's watch 24/5 here. I think 24/5 makes sense. I trade gold sometimes. I like trading gold, honestly. I think gold's easier to predict. Makes more easy. Gold makes more predictable moves, I think, than a lot of equities, securities, indexes. And so I like gold. Honestly, I'm kind of mad at gold. The last few times I've wanted to buy it. One of the times I did, and then my computer crashed and I forgot about the trade, and somehow I lost money going long on gold a few days ago. And then I also told you guys I wanted to buy it down here a couple hours ago, and I didn't, and now gold is back over 3,700. I think that's some of the easier predictions for gold. I think a lot of people argue that we're seeing stagflation right now, which is a weak labor and high inflation market that sometimes precedes a recession, and gold is going to be one of the beneficiaries of that type of dynamic. Are you seeing a consolidation in metals? Yeah, I mean, we're seeing metals. Let me see, hold on. What's silver? I think it's SIL. Yeah, SIL. It's basically moving with gold. It's down. Gold's been up. It's been breaking all-time highs. What about copper, right? People were talking about copper earlier. SoFi's been crazy though. SoFi said crazy movement on the year. All right, we're trying to hold up here. We're at 24.5s right now. We did bounce right at 24.10s, right around that 200 exponential. Gold's still pushing up. News is a little quiet. Kind of back and forth. We're kind of 40 minutes from the opening bell now. Y'all give me a follow on x.com at beginner trades, BEGINNERTRADES. I appreciate it. Again, China officially banned companies from purchasing Nvidia chips. Some of China's senior leaders found the comments. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, so here's something that happened. And again, a lot of people are saying these are not reactive. I think this is a little bit reactive here. I said this morning already. Remember, we banned the sale of, we had Nvidia and microchip export restriction news early in the year. We also had Lutnick in July. The day after the president lifted export controls, Lutnick said, quote, "We don't sell them our best stuff, not our second best stuff, not even our third best stuff. He also added, quote, "You want to sell the Chinese enough that their developers get addicted to the American technology. That's the thinking," end quote. And then we also had news after that some of China's leaders found the comments insulting. I mean, of course they are. Like, he's saying this like he's in a room with his friends. Instead, he's saying this stuff publicly. Come on now, bro. Lutnick, where's your head at, dude? Come on now. So as a result, Chinese tech groups held off or significantly downsized their H2O orders according to those with knowledge of their plans. So. If I was them, I might be insulted at that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're not going to sell me the good stuff? You're just going to sell me the bad stuff? Come on now. But, yeah. Market's so flat right now, guys. It's kind of boring. Maybe you could short the top, cover the bottom. I don't know. Yeah, I think the president's trying to smooth it out with them. I think he is. You know, and I think we'll get an update on that later. So I hope he does personally, just for market's sake. Right, no, that's what I originally thought is a short position, maybe. But I don't know if... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it negatively... If he's in a short position, he's losing money regardless, probably. Based off of just what the market's done over the last few months. Yeah, but 75, that might be true, but they don't need public comments stating that. You know what I mean? Like, think about it objectively, you know, before you say it and what the consequences might be for saying it, is what Lutnick needed to do. Not really political, it's just now we're kind of reaping the consequences of that type of behavior, you know? And, I get it, there's a lot of, like, what it really is, and this happens on both sides, is that there's a lot of political posturing on both sides. Like, they want to look good to other people who might have their, you know, and that's kind of how it goes. Gold's still pushing up. It's at 37.13s, almost 37.15s. The Fed meeting is at 2:30. The rate announcement is going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, we're going to be live at that time. We'll probably do another stream, realistically, but we'll be live at that time. All right, let's squeeze. All right, so we're going to post on our X kind of a summary of the dot plot projections and what to look at. Again, last meeting they were projecting 2 rate cuts by the end of the year. A dovish scenario would be 3. Hawkish scenario would be 1 or 2, I think. All right, this song's like a little bit too much. Also, on options trading, I trade options sometimes. Yeah, no, clap. Sorry, brother. Yeah, today we're flat. The market's actually bouncing higher now. Metaplanet successfully raised almost 1.5 billion to buy more Bitcoin. Yeah, the big news is China officially banned companies from purchasing Nvidia AI chips. Certain AI chips, I think. What I'm probably going to do today, guys, is I will stream into the open like I always do today, and then at a decent amount of time prior to the FOMC decision, I'll start streaming again. And I'll redirect you to the next stream, which will be scheduled prior to me closing this stream down. And so you'll get the watch page for the new stream, which will start, again, well before the next FOMC decision today at 2 p.m. Yeah. Yeah, gold's been pushing, man. I should have bought it earlier. I'm kind of mad about it, but it's all right. I don't think Nvidia's done, man. Nvidia's just been stagnant. Like, Nvidia's been sideways since July. You know? Like, basically, Nvidia was at 175 in July. It's now at 173. So, Nvidia just hasn't gone anywhere in 2 months. 3 months. You know? 2 months. So, I mean, that's... I'm still mad at gold, bro. That's the story of my week, is I'm mad at gold. How dare gold not wait for me? It should have waited. I like gold as well. I think gold's a good hedge right now. But Lyft and Waymo have launched a partnership to expand autonomous mobility to Nashville. We also had the Ukrainian PM say they are plans to implement 3 large-scale projects via joint investment fund with the U.S. by the end of next year. Hey, thank you, Nitro. Appreciate it, man. I try to be reliable. You know. $164 was the bottom. Yeah, I mean, I think Nvidia's going to go up long-term, short-term, you never know. Nvidia's climbing back. We got to look at, like, Apple today, I think, as well. Apple's been ripping up this morning. But look at Apple here. This is why the market's heading up. Apple went green. Here's the previous closing price on Apple right here. And so Apple broke above that. And it's now green. Here's my chance to get in gold. I don't think this pullback is big enough for me to get in. This? Nah. Maybe I'll be mad again. But that pullback's not large enough. I might buy like a pullback here. Like here. But I don't know if I'm gonna buy this. I think that's too small. Yeah, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. Listen, subscribe, do this. We do this live every day. We don't sell a course, we don't sell a service, we don't claim to be good traders even. We just kind of report free stuff. You're welcome. Subscribe, do it now. You know you want to. Half of you guys aren't even subscribed, and you should be. You know, you watch my stream every day, but you don't subscribe. That hurts me right here. You know, subscribe. Help me break 166,000. Gold is coming to pick me up. I might buy gold at 3,700. That's my level. Just because I think gold might go up a little. I think we could get chopped from anything today just because it's right before a big announcement with the FOMC and stuff. But if I'm going to buy gold, I need to pull back to like 3,700 or so. Right around it. I might buy 3,705 or 02, but I'd rather 3,700. Yeah, Lyft had news just now that came out that said they're partnering with oh wow, Lyft is up a lot from this news though. It's up over 25% right now. Lyft is up because them and Waymo have launched a partnership to expand autonomous mobility to Nashville. They're partnering with Waymo. We also had the Bank of Canada rate decision today. Hold on, when does this drop? Bank of Canada rate decisions in 41 minutes. At 9:45 today. I mean, I know this news is good for Lyft, but is it this good? Ugh. Ugh. Alright, I'm okay. There must be like dust in my office here. Ugh. Excuse me, sorry. Bro, I have been sneezing, man. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it. They raised their price to 24, it's already 26. Yeah, 26.75. Eli Lilly announces GLP pill shows superiority over Novo's in diabetes study. Yeah, Tesla probably going to react negatively to this Lyft Waymo news because of autonomous stuff going on. I expect other stocks competing with Tesla to start to rise in the robotaxi market. Whenever there's good news, Tesla will be good for those stocks. Yeah, maybe. But but I think Tesla is going to react negatively to this. Just because Tesla right now is like, there's only a couple other robotaxi big players. Waymo's one of them. And so, yeah. All right, guys, so we got 23 minutes until the opening bell. Nvidia had some bad news that China's banning the sale of their chips to China's largest tech companies. We've kind of bounced back. Tesla's been dipping a little bit today, pulling back. Gold has been elevated over the last few hours. And yeah, market is, I don't know, the market might be slightly green right now. Let me see where we're at technically on the NASDAQ in terms of green or red. We're pretty close to the middle, I think. Yeah, so we're actually technically red on the NQ right now on the NASDAQ, the QQQ, slightly red, but we're very close to the previous closing price. And I think ahead of this big FOMC meeting, it's very reasonable to expect chop. So. I think it's very reasonable to expect chop. And maybe we'll get some easy ranges to attack today. I got to wait a little bit closer to the opening bell. The movement's just too small as of now. So we're green on the day, but very slightly green, not like a lot green. Tesla up a little bit. Lyft is pulling back some now, so maybe they're correlated. Curious to see where Nvidia is going here, though. Nvidia at 172.50s. So Nvidia is fading down this morning still. Kind of a late reaction here. I'm surprised the market hasn't dipped down more with it, to be honest. But Apple kind of propping it up right now. Apple's up. Yeah, it's all right. All right, so the FOMC meeting today. Powell's tone, we did a poll. 36% think neutral, 33% think hawkish, and 31% think dovish. Honestly, we're pretty split down the middle in terms of what Powell's tone is going to be today in the poll. Out of almost 900 votes, I think he's going to be neutral. I think he's going to be right in the middle, and I think the majority got it right at 36% personally. But last time I thought he would be dovish, and he was hawkish. And so, who knows what he's going to come out with. It's just really after Jackson Hole became more dovish than ever because Powell wants to leave a good memory of him in the last month's chair. I expect him to be dovish and 50 basis points. I don't know. I think that's lower probability, but it could happen. It could happen. You might be right. I don't know. All I know is we're probably not going to raise rates. Market's so slow right now. Maybe I should have bought gold a little bit earlier. But we're at 37.12s right now. 37.12s. Looking at other breaking news here. But effective funds rate 4.33% for yesterday, unchanged. No cut on October. I think we personally do 25, 25, 25, or we do 25, skip 25. That's my guess. What do you guys think we'll do? What do you guys think the schedule will be for rate cuts for the rest of this year? Let me know in chat. The schedule. Yeah, I'm just kind of waiting here, guys. We got 15 minutes. The market's slow, boring, not moving. Maybe we'll get some trades to get involved with, but it's kind of, it's not the most exciting right now. $25, $25, $25. Yeah, that's what my guess is what we're going to be. 25 for the year, 25 every time, rest of year. Labor market, 0, 0, 25. So you think we're only going to cut in December? And we're not going to cut today? 25 then data dependent on any other cuts. Yeah, I mean, that might, I could probably get down with that one too. Yeah, my guess is 25, 25, 25 personally. But if jobs continue to decrease, he'll do 50 in October? Maybe. Gold is back up to 37.15, still close to all-time highs. Not quite there this morning. Nvidia is still breaking down. Tesla's falling down a little bit. Nvidia. Look at Nvidia come down here, man. Nvidia's almost back down to the 170s. It's only broken down under 160s here, and it got bought up pretty quickly. Okay. There's the 200 exponential at 512s. Oh, like a jumbo cut to be taken? Yeah, I mean, again, it's not about whether we should cut more. It's about whether we can do so without spiking inflation as well as inducing a panic. Right? So we can cut big, but the consequence is either going to be inflation spiking. It might be both. Or it might induce panic. And neither one of those things is necessarily good. Panic is fine. Inflation is not fine. And so it depends on how weak things are. And because of that, I think data dependent is going to be the answer here. Goldman Sachs raises their 2025 China GDP forecast to 4.8%. I don't know. All right, guys, we got 10 minutes into the opening bell. It's a little quiet. The market's just not doing anything, man. We're kind of trending upward, but it's very slight. Yeah, Powell and the president in construction hats it was like a month or two ago. They seem like an old married couple. They did not like each other. Now, people like to argue that Powell's going to be hawkish now because of him and the president's dynamic. But you got to understand, Powell doesn't want to risk his legacy just because he disagrees with the president, right? Like, Powell does not want to risk his legacy because of that. Instead, he's probably going to, obviously going to cut today. I don't think he's going to risk his legacy by not cutting right now. Well, let's balance. People are saying his legacy is set. Well, if you enter a recession, it's gonna make it worse, whatever it is. You know what I mean? And so I don't think Powell wants us to enter a recession, is the point. Hawkish Powell or dovish Powell? Maybe Powell's dovish. I think he's neutral personally, but maybe he's dovish. I don't know. Again, Goldman raised the China GDP forecast growth expectation to 4.8% for this year. Kind of chopping sideways 8 minutes into the opening bell. We're still bouncing at that 200 exponential, though. I talk about this level all the time because it genuinely is useful. Wait, where's my cool? Oh, there it is. Like, look at this level here. Even if we don't hold, we've bounced off of this level 3 times. This exact level right here. Short-term bounces, sometimes the bounces don't follow through, but they can give you really nice entries if you have like a trend that you're following here. I'm not telling you what to do, not an investment professional. Again, if you want to test it out on Top Step, it's a great way to learn how to day trade. Most day traders lose. I'll put the link up if you want to help support the channel here. But yeah, no PDT in futures. Base one's $50 a month. If you fail, it's not the end of the world. If you pass it, you know, 50K funded account, 90% split. They pay out millions, fund thousands. You can also reactivate your funded accounts now with their back to funded feature. But understand all this stuff on screen. I get paid by them. I'm biased. Genuinely useful, though. Genuinely useful. We're going to be trading this at the open. Called out Tilray in 60 cents. Yeah, but I'm just pessimistic on cannabis stocks, though. I really am. Like, Tilray was once $300 a share. You know, everybody thinks their side is going to legalize it. Unfortunately, both sides get too much money, political donations from lobbyists to legalize it federally. And so Tilray got a lot of hype and anticipation back in like 2018 on potential federal legalization. Every politician acts like they're going to do it, and then they get some big checks, and then they just don't do it. It's mostly checks from like the prison industry, pharmaceutical companies, alcohol companies that have an incentive to keep it illegal. And so I'm just not optimistic in that market. I think it's going to be a tough market to... I think it's going to be unpredictable in terms of when it's going to gain federal legalization. And because of that, I'm not really trying to invest in it. There's been too many... there's been too many big moments that didn't end up happening. Is there a correlation between choppy pre-market and the trend after the market opens? Sometimes. I don't know if cannabis users are lazy necessarily. I think that's mostly a stereotype. I think it depends on the personality. I think, I think regardless of it, it's a big market. And I think eventually it will become federally legal. It's just going to take a long time, I think alcohol's objectively far worse in terms of inebriation levels, in terms of deaths per year, in terms of what it does to the person overall, in terms of physical withdrawal symptoms, in terms of literally every major metric you can look at. Alcohol's way more objectively harmful. But people kind of get stereotypitis, they stereotype things, and they drink, and so it's kind of confirmation bias. But again, regardless of any of that stuff, I don't think it's going to be legal for a while. Federally. All right, guys, we got 3.5 minutes. Market's flat, boring, not really doing anything. I'm looking at gold. I might take some gold trades today. I'm looking at the NASDAQ as well. Apple, honestly, is kind of the underrepresented stock today that's dragging the NASDAQ up. Look at Apple. Apple's been pushing here. When a lot of stuff's red on the day, Apple's still moving up. Yeah, I mean, I think the smart answer today is neutral for my poll. Doesn't mean it's gonna happen. I thought Powell would be dovish last time. I thought Powell would pause but be dovish. Instead, he paused and he was hawkish. We've since seen labor. I think he should have been dovish last time, but he wasn't. And I think the most likely outcome today is neutral. I think he's gonna cut but be neutral. In terms of what we do for the rest of this year, I think he's going to be data dependent as well. I think he's either going to do 25, 25, 25, or he's going to do 25, skip 25. But we'll see. All right, guys, you got 1 minute left. 1 minute left until open. You guys bullish or bearish for the opening bell? Let me know in chat. Yeah, community here is pretty solid. I think we got a pretty good community. Yeah, my guess is sideways, but I don't know. Maybe we'll run in one big direction. We got 20 minutes. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you caught up on the stream. We appreciate it. And you'll catch the opening live. You put it 2x speed as well to catch up. Fed decision is in a few hours. All right, there's the bell. See what Apple does. I'm curious to see what Apple does at the open. Apple ripping up more. Look at Apple. Doesn't mean it's gonna hold. NASDAQ now technically green on the day. Watching Nvidia closely. Yeah, I'm kind of neutral as well. I'm almost completely flat. Goldman Sachs again raised. I already got that. Hold on. Again, the big news earlier is that China banned companies from purchasing Nvidia chips. I almost want to short into this. It's a little bit too close to the opening bell, though. I think Apple had a big turn, and if Nvidia turns downward, we could get some corrections back down to like 24.5. It's too early, though, after the bell. I'm not going to do it, but... Market is nonsense. Only bad news, bad numbers. Yeah, well, you're looking at economics and markets, though. There's two different things. In 2020, when we had all this craziness from everything going on, the market ran. The market ran because microchips and AI were booming. And people were stuck at home using them, you know? So, it's not always the same thing. They can be correlated, but it's not always the same thing. Yeah, I don't know if this is my favorite song here. A little bit too high-pitched for me. I don't mind it, but... I'm just sitting tight waiting here. All right, guys, today's the FOMC day. I don't know what we're gonna get though. Hold on. Okay, wait, we got this. Yeah, well, we turned. I should have shorted my idea here. Again, I thought Nvidia might turn down and then Apple might correct, and that's kind of what we got so far. I probably could have profited from it. I was looking at 24.5, but again, we're only 4 minutes into the open. I probably should just wait. Here's the breakdown. We're now under 23.5 or 24.5s. Thesis was right. I'm gonna take a small little position here. Maybe add to it. There we go. All right, I'm gonna cut it right there. Lock it in. Keep it small and steady. We're probably gonna scalp a little bit more today. Maybe take some range trades. Bit of ball gold. I was looking at 37.05 or 37s. It ended up bouncing at 37.07. That's all right. At 37.05 low, or that 24.5 level is right. So far, at least, that's where we bounced. 24.5. Nasdaq now a little bit more deeply red. Looks like I got out of my long position at the right time too. Bitcoin's testing lows again, getting drugged down, but Nvidia test 171s. Looks weak. Gold still breaking higher, 37.17s. I think this Nvidia news is kind of getting baked into the markets right now. I'm thinking about buying it, but I think it's risky too. Look at gold's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 green candles in a row for gold right now. 12. I'm gonna buy this, I think, here. Look for a liquidity grab. Add a little bit down to it. Hopefully I don't get stuck in a big, massive drop. I'm gonna unload a piece of this position just to protect. Get out a half of it there again as well. There's the liquidity grab we wanted though. Got it right there. Could have held it a little longer, but that's alright. Could have held the liquidity grab thesis. Alright. Apple's still moving up. Look at Apple. Apple's getting ready to test the top of this range. I think whether it breaks it is going to be critical or not in terms of market direction short term. Again, China's internet regulator told the country's biggest tech companies to stop buying all of Nvidia chips, I think. I think my scalping ideas, I guess, have been okay. Nvidia can survive. Yeah, I mean, Nvidia will be fine without it, but it's a big market to miss out on, so obviously we might get some negative reactions from it. Is what it is. Like, Nvidia's gonna be okay, but I'm sure they'd rather have that market. Big red candles. So somehow I'm green going only long today at the open. Yeah, Apple rejected up here and Nvidia's still falling. Yeah, it's a lot of red. All right, guys. All right, we're still getting a big breakdown. We just tapped that 24,490 level. Apple's starting to bounce back up, though. Maybe we're going to see some more optimism here. I might actually buy this dip now. Apple's back up to the high levels. This is what drugged the market up earlier, so I'm going to add to this. It's a risky strategy. We're already green on the day, so we could have a little bit of cushion here. But a big retracement. Cut a piece and then sit. Wait, maybe add more if we get into the green. Not an easy day to trade. We're getting a lot of whippy movements. Plus, Apple's starting to reject back up there too, so that doesn't look as good now. All right. I'm gonna add to this. Take half off there. All right, we're out. Very small trades, but green nonetheless. We're kind of managing it okay. Apple's right here at 240s. I think it wants to break this. Nvidia's deep extended, so it could bounce back too. Might mean we'll get some bull action. I think the trend is red, obviously, though. Yeah, I saw that about Apple. It looks red. We're slightly green, but Frontier Airlines CEO says low-cost carrier model is alive and well. There's an oversupply issue in the U.S. industry. We'll see fewer seats across carrier models in 1 to 2 years, and customers do not care about free baggage policies. You know what I don't like at the airport? I don't like having a bag and having to pay freaking hundreds of dollars just because it's over 50 pounds. You know? That's what I don't like. We always end up like stopping, and Carol and I look at each other's bags and we're like, okay, you gotta give me some stuff out of your bag and we're gonna put it in that bag and then we're gonna switch it around to this bag, trying to balance everything else out. Bank of Canada rate decision just came out. They showed up at 2.5% versus previous at 2.75, so they cut rates 25 basis points. I mean, this looks very weak, to be honest. Apple just turned all the way down under the VWAP, and Nvidia is falling down here. It's about to hit 170s, though, so maybe it'll bounce at 170s, but it looks weak. Bro, I got a family of 4 here traveling, you know? And my wife is a textbook overpacker. She packs way too much stuff, uses way too much stuff, brings way too much stuff that we never use on vacation. Doesn't matter if we're staying for 3 days or we're staying for 2 weeks. We got way too much stuff. I gotta haul that bag around, dude. It's usually freaking ridiculously heavy. We've broken luggage because we got too much stuff. If you know, you know. You know. Yeah. Yeah, we got nebulizers, we got asthma medication, we got friggin'... If the world ends, we're ready. That's all I'm saying. Alright, so we're bouncing up. We're almost back up to 490s. Let's see if 490 holds. I'm trading really light today, guys. We got the FOMC decision later. Yeah, where's Quantum? Quantum was dipping, right? Is it bouncing back? Yeah, Quantum back up. QBTS up to 19.5s. Rigetti up to 20.25s. Back up some. There's 490s. Nvidia's rebounded back right at 170. It's back at 171s now. Let's watch 24.5s up there too. Maybe we'll test that. Yeah, look at that 24.5 level. Again, sideways, big range, but sideways might be the answer today. I don't know. Luggage revolution? Yeah, maybe. All right, guys, listen. I'm going to cut it early today. I don't really see any good trading action right now. I'm not really loving this movement. We're sideways, downtrending, but sideways. We got the FOMC decision at 2 p.m. We're going to be there. As soon as I close the stream, chat, it'll bring you to the FOMC stream we got going on later today. I expect you to wait there the whole time. No bathroom breaks. You know, I expect you to sit at your computer. No listening to music either, okay? If you do, no discipline. I'm just joking, kind of. But we'll be back well before the FOMC decision starts. We'll be live streaming. As soon as we close this stream down, it'll bring you there. So just a heads up. You won't have to go anywhere. As soon as we close this stream down, it'll bring you there. I'll see you guys over there. Y'all be safe. Good luck. We'll see what happens later on today. Be safe in this market. It's kind of wild. I think big range sideways movement makes sense. But again, be safe. Again, if you want to check out Top Step, great way to help support the channel. No PDT rule. Have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good.